White-tailed deer by Lillian Ward. White-tailed deer, Odocoileus virginianus, are highly adaptable, medium-sized deer native to the Americas, recognized for its distinct white underside of the tail and widespread distribution. Their side depends on the climate and habitat. Their lifespan usually ranges from 6 to 14 years old. Males are typically 150 to 300 pounds, where females are typically 90 to 200 pounds. Their habitat varies. They are adaptable to a wide variety of habitats, including forests, wetlands, grasslands, agricultural fields, and suburban areas. Their color is reddish-brown in summer and grayish-brown during winter, providing seasonal camouflage. They communicate through vocalization, scent markings, body posture, and tail signaling. The breeding usually occurs in the fall, and their natural predators are coyotes, bobcats, wolves, mountain lions, bears, and more. White-tailed deer are naturally herbivores, typically consuming lots of plants like grasses, twigs, bark, and fruits and fungi. They tend to have a cycle of feeding and resting, with feeding occurring every few hours. They are naturally herd animals, usually in families, playing, running, and using their vocalizations. They use scent marking of urine, saliva secretions, antler rubbings, pawing at the ground, and pheromones. These white-tailed deer are crepuscular, which means they're mostly active during dawn and dusk, and they can adapt to running, jumping, and swimming to escape predators and forage. Why are white-tailed deer in trouble? Although white-tailed deer are common in many areas, they still face numerous dangers caused largely by human activity. These threats can lead to serious injuries, orphaned fawns, habitat loss, and death. Wildlife rehabilitation and conservation programs are important because they help reduce human-caused suffering and support healthy deer populations. Vehicle collisions are one of the biggest threats to white-tailed deer. Roads cut through habitats, forcing deer to cross highways while searching for food or mates. Thousands are injured or killed each year, along with injuries to humans and vehicle damage. Urban development, farming, and deforestation destroy deer habitats. This causes loss of food, shelter, breeding areas, and migration routes, forcing deer into smaller spaces and increasing contact with humans. Deer can become entrapped in wired fences or netting, causing injuries like broken legs, cuts, exhaustion, or strangulation. Loose dogs may chase, injure, or kill deer, especially young fawns. Even non-fatal attacks can cause severe stress and exhaustion. Pollution, litter, contaminated water, and expanding cities damage deer habitats and push deer closer to roads and neighborhoods, increasing human-wildlife conflicts. Every spring and early summer, mother white-tailed deer leave their fawns alone while searching for food. This is normal behavior that helps protect fawns from predators. Many people mistakenly think that the fawns are abandoned or remove them from the wild when they actually do not need help. Accidentally taking healthy fawns is harmful because they have the best chance of survival with their mothers. Fawns should not be kept as pets because deer are wild animals that are naturally supposed to fear humans. Deer that become too comfortable around people may lose important survival instincts and struggle to survive in the wild. People should only contact wildlife professionals if a fawn is injured, weak, constantly crying, covered in insects, or if the mother is confirmed dead. You may ask, why are white-tailed deer important enough to save? This is because white-tailed deer are an important part of North American ecosystems and have existed for thousands of years. Respecting wildlife means understanding that deer are wild animals with natural behaviors, instincts, and roles in the environment. Deer help to maintain healthy forests and grasslands by browsing on plants and spreading seeds through their movement and waste. They also serve as prey for predators and support biodiversity within ecosystems. They are a key species in our ecosystems. Healthy deer populations contribute to ecological balance, biodiversity, and environmental stability, like mentioned before. Every creature plays a role. Protecting the white-tailed deer means protecting the forest ecosystems, other wildlife species, natural biodiversity, and future opportunities for wildlife education and conservation. In addition to their ecological importance, white-tailed deer hold cultural and educational value. Many people enjoy observing them in nature, photographing them, studying them, and learning about wildlife conservation through their presence. Protecting deer populations helps preserve natural heritage for future generations. Rehabilitation matters. Like mentioned before, humans contribute to many of these injuries and environmental problems. Wildlife rehabilitation centers and conservation programs help reduce suffering by treating injured deer, caring for orphan fawns, educating the public about wildlife safety, supporting habitat conservation, returning healthy animals to the wild whenever possible, and rehabilitation gives injured wildlife a second chance, while also teaching people how to better coexist with nature. White-tailed deer are herbivores and browsers that mainly feed on leaves, twigs, shoots, buds, fruits, nuts, fungi, and grasses. During the spring and summer, they commonly eat green vegetation, clover, wildflowers, garden plants, and agricultural crops such as corn and soybeans. In the fall and winter, their diet shifts more towards woody plants, acorns, beech nuts, and other mast crops. For a fawn, you would want to feed them species appropriate milk replacer, and they are allowed goat milk, or a wildlife specific formula. And then as they grow, introduce native browse, hay, and leafy greens gradually, and any other food they may eat. Adults and juveniles are native browsers, so they can eat what was mentioned before, like forage, grasses, etc. For my habitat and sanctuary design, you would have an intake/quarantine area, medical treatment area, rehabilitation area, permanent housing sanctuary if necessary, and a low contact enclosure before release. A habitat and sanctuary design for white-tailed deer must closely replicate the natural woodland edge environments while minimizing stress and human contact. Proper enclosure size, secure fencing, natural vegetation, shelter enrichment, and strong biosecurity are important for physical recovery, stress reduction, disease prevention, and natural behavior development. Caregivers often use fully covered faces and avoid perfumes or strong scents to reduce human imprinting. These environments allow deer to gradually recover and condition safely while encouraging natural foraging and social behaviors. Proper habitat design also provides protection from weather and predators while preparing deer for safe release or lifelong sanctuary care if release is not possible. The intake quarantine area would involve newly admitted white-tailed deer. They are typically housed in a quiet 10 by 12-foot outdoor enclosure with low lighting, minimal noise, and solid visual barriers to reduce stress. Bedding usually consists of straw or grasses with rubber matting underneath for comfortability and safety. My medical facility for the white-tailed deer should include a safe squeeze chute or restraining system, an examination table, isolation capability, emergency treatment supplies, fluid therapy equipment, and access to a radiograph and ultrasound diagnostics. My medical facility for the white-tailed deer should include a safe squeeze chute or restraining system, an examination table, isolation capability, emergency treatment supplies, fluid therapy equipment, and access to a radiograph and ultrasound diagnostics. This would be my aerial view of the rehabilitation area. The blue circles would be the watering areas, and the brown boxes would be the three-sided shelters. Typically, they should be 1 to 2 acres depending on the group size and enclosed with an 8 to 10-foot woven wire wildlife fencing surrounded by shrubs and greenery to blend in with the natural habitat. The enclosure should contain natural native vegetation such as grasses, brush cover, young saplings, shrubs, and mixed hardwood trees to encourage natural browsing and forage behaviors. Both natural shelters, dense brush and tree covered, and artificial three-sided wooden sheds help protect deer from snow, rain, heat, and strong winds. Water sources may include shallow pools, ponds, troughs, automatic waters, or natural-styled streams. And large running areas are important for muscle rebuilding, cardiovascular conditioning, and maintaining natural escape behaviors before release. This would be my long-term enclosure aerial view with the three-sided shelters and the two watering areas, one potentially being a stream flowing through the enclosure and the other one just being a simple shallow pool or something along those lines. It would typically be a little larger than the regular rehabilitation area because they are staying here long term. Basically along the same lines with the tall fencing and being surrounded by shrubs and greenery to blend in with their natural habitat. The larger long-term pastures also allow for stable social groupings, enrichment opportunities, year-round shelter, and ongoing veterinary monitoring. Some enrichment ideas that are good for the long-term enclosure or even the short-term rehabilitation enclosure, just in case you get a deer in that still needs some mental stimulation, but they can't yet quite get up on their feet and do that physically. They could include browse piles, brush piles, rotting logs, hanging food, variable terrain, scent enrichment, and seasonal vegetation changes to encourage natural behaviors. Food enrichment can also include acorns, pumpkins, apples, native grasses, and safe berries to promote natural foraging and browsing activities. And these three pictures on the side, those are actually pictures I took myself while I was at a study abroad trip in Costa Rica, helping rehabilitate some white-tailed deer as well as some other animals. You can see in the picture in the top right corner that we gave this deer a coconut with holes in it so she could focus on her pawing motion, and there would be little treats like carrots and corn that would fall out of the holes. In the middle left picture, you can also see in the back on the tree there is a scratching post almost like tied to the tree so they could rub on it. And in the bottom right picture, you can see a hanging beam with some fruit hanging off of it, like papaya and carrots, that they can reach up and forage for like they would for leaves on a tree. Before release, white-tailed deer must maintain a healthy body condition score, move normally, and eat independently. They should show natural fear of humans and be free from contagious disease. Any fractures or wounds must be fully healed before release. Deer are then released into safe, appropriate habitats where they have the best chance of survival. In this video, you will be shown deer that have been rehabilitated, and they are all set to go out into the wild now. And they are being first poked with a sedative for easy transport. And as you can see in the video, they still have their natural fear response, which is good. And then they load them into a trailer and bring them out into a good natural habitat. Now, this wouldn't be the best video in the world, but I couldn't find any better videos to show a good release. But ideally, what you would want to happen is they stay sedated for the whole ride, and then once you brought them to the proper location, you bring them out and lay them down on the ground, and you stay at a far back just to make sure you can still monitor their breathing and everything is good. And then once they're up and gone, then you can leave. Now, why are all these things for their habitat and rehabilitation so important? It's because white-tailed deer are highly active prey animals that require protection from predators such as coyotes, domestic dogs, bears, and more. They are naturally cautious and easily stressed, making them susceptible to stress-related illness and abnormal behaviors. Minimizing stress and human contact helps prevent human imprinting and promotes natural conditioning, which increases successful release outcomes. Biosecurity is extremely important when caring for white-tailed deer to help prevent the spread of disease and parasites. Measures such as foot baths before entering enclosures, dedicated equipment, quarantine protocols, limited public access, and regular parasite management help protect both the deer and the wildlife from illness and contamination. Medical and diagnostic plans should focus on stabilization, disease prevention, minimizing stress, proper nutrition, injury assessment, and release readiness, prioritizing minimal human imprinting and safe handling. When an injured white-tailed deer arrives, staff determine age, sex, weight, body condition, and reason for rescue, such as orphaning, vehicle collision, dogs attacks, entanglement, dehydration, or neurological problems, etc. Initial evaluation includes mentation, heart rate, breathing, temperature, hydration, shock, fractures, and neurological signs. Deer are stabilized with minimal handling, quiet housing, warmth, fluids, oxygen, and pain management if needed. A full exam checks the body condition score, quality, parasites, wounds, fractures, lameness, hoof, health, neurological function, eyes, mouth, and teeth. Common diagnostic tests could include a CBC, chemistry panel, PCV/TS, fecal testing, radiographs, and ultrasound to evaluate infection, parasites, trauma, dehydration, and internal injuries. Treatment may include parasites control, wound care, fluids, and supportive care. Deer are monitored daily for weight, mobility, behavior, breathing, and healing progress with regular checks as needed. The reason you might want to have sedatives on board in your rehabilitation facility is because, like previously mentioned, deer get very stressed easily while handled, and it is best to have them under sedation for all of these procedures. Vaccinations? Not routinely. Wildlife rehabilitation for white-tailed deer focus on supportive care, nutrition, parasites control, wound treatment, and safe release back into the wildlife. Routine vaccinations are usually not given because deer and wildlife animals and handling them too much can cause stress. Few vaccines are approved for deer, and vaccines may not provide long-term protection in free-ranging wild. Vaccination may only be used in special cases such as rabies exposure or disease outbreaks. Works cited and related videos articles. Here are all my works cited that helped me create my presentation, and here are some fun related videos/articles.